I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. We are going to be starting down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map on top of the purple Terran player from Onside Gaming. He is the legend himself, Maru.
And his opponent, lining up at the top right, for big. It is D. Maru from Germany, ShoWTimE. And he's one of those players that I feel like forever, all of us who followed the scene really closely have been looking for a big result from ShoWTimE. We know that he's capable of it. We know he can do it, but he hasn't had it yet. But we're like, we want it so bad. Everyone who's been a fan of StarCraft 2 for a while, chances are you know how good ShoWTimE can be, and you're looking for that big breakout performance.
Yeah. I think it's so I think this is like the next meta that we hit maybe like 2 years ago or something, where we basically migrated from, man, it's so crazy that ShoWTimE like hasn't won anything and we were just looking for it or whatever, and that, you know, he should be hitting that level because we expected of him, that we've progressed at some point during the last few years that we're like, you know, we recognize it's unfair that ShoWTimE will get top 4 or top 8 or something at a incredibly stacked event. We're like, man, kind of expected better for ShoWTimE. I was like, well, come on, guys, like he got top 4. Like the player he lost to was Cyril in the semifinals or something. Like, can we cut him a little slack? That's a sick performance. But yeah, he really just, I think he emanates that kind of level where we do have such high expectations for him because he's so capable of that. And I actually will say, I think he does live up to, or pretty close to, a lot of those expectations quite often. I think he is still one of the most fearsome players in the European scene and stuff. And I think he does show up. It's just, it's very tough to show up as you get into like the quarterfinals, the semifinals. And I'm not going to lie, Dave, we're pretty close to that point. This is top 8 of the winners bracket if you win the series.
Yeah, and as we've said, top 12 guaranteed for the tournament. Now, we got to talk a little bit about the build orders because this has been something, you know, that's been developing. This is Proxy Oracle. Okay, he does see it.
The second Reaper.
Interesting.
Wasn't even gonna scout it.
Okay, he's going straight into the main with this. So, well, this is Maru, isn't it? I would have been like, okay, I can kill this pylon. And whether you're right or you're wrong is a question. Oh my goodness, the surround. Okay, well, I was just going to say it would be really good to get in here and get a bunch of probe damage, but ShoWTimE anticipates the move, only loses a single probe, and now the potential of taking out that pylon is gone. We're going to see this command center getting denied for a little bit. This is a really, really big problem here for Maru.
You know, Dave, I was so close to being like, I actually like this decision from Maru.
Oh, yeah, same.
The Oracle would have to pull back home, and it delays that. It buys time because the Adepts, I thought they would have already finished their shade and were already out the door. But the Adepts both being home and also getting the surround that they really were not supposed to, those probes. Like, this is phenomenal for ShoWTimE. This is actually a really good start, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. We do see a very interesting move, by the way. He's going for a Zest opener. I think he's going to proxy a 4th gate. Really, really taking a page out of, well, I guess combining Zest and Hero a little bit here. Zest with the very quick blink 3-gate after that Oracle, and Hero with the 4th gate on the map, and as well the fact that he opened up double gas proxy Stargate.
This is going to get scary. This is certainly something that Maru is going to have to respect the heck out of. And Steadfast, I'm just kind of like watching Maru's production tab really closely because I want to see, as Blink gets closer and closer to finishing, we're obviously not going to have Stim for quite a bit of time. There are going to be some Marauders on the map, but there's no bunkers or anything really defensive here. He does put out 2 Adepts, sets off a Stasis Trap. Okay, you know, that's something. Funny enough, that's going to provide really good vision for in front of his base. So that makes it so that ShoWTimE really doesn't want to push in from the natural just yet. Like, this Stasis Trap has actually worked out quite well for Maru.
Yeah, there's no tanks, though. There is no tanks. Oh, and these Cyclones. Okay, does he jump on these? Yes, he will, and he's going to be able to get one of them. Maybe was a little bit quick on that. Might have been able to get two,
Well,
but the bunker's not done in the natural. This is so scary for Maru right now.
yeah, I mean, this is super dangerous. The bunker should finish up with so many SCVs starting up on it. The Oracle getting some nice chip damage away on those SCVs as well. And ShoWTimE, very importantly, keeps that Oracle alive. I actually want to note the Cyclone, that does move all the way across the map in a very funky,
what?
counterattack. I want to note it's not there to help deny Oracle high ground vision, though. That actually is a really nice tool. Widowmine! Oh my god!
How
the Oracle?
How the hell did that hit from so far? And, well, we're seeing a lot of SCVs going down, but quite a few probes on the other side of the map as well.
There's no high ground vision.
Yeah, losing that Oracle is an absolute and total disaster. If that doesn't go down, ShoWTimE can continue the aggression. He does have a third Nexus behind this, starting on up, but... Oh, actually, is that enough SCVs? I think ShoWTimE disengaged a little too early. I think he might have been able to burn that bunker down. We'll never know now, but... I guess he's wary of stem and he wants to play very, very carefully. That's the thing. Sometimes I feel like ShoWTimE doesn't commit hard enough when he's doing certain things.
Yeah, I think he would have lost at least one or two Stalkers there, and this force is large enough that with Stim finished up like kind of what you said, I don't think this number of Stalkers can actually do anything better than trade a little bit with Blink versus some of these Bow units. But even then, I think he still ends up trading worse as time goes on. So I don't hate the fact that he just decided to back off and keep the Stalkers alive. But Gust of Shell's finishing up now makes his Bow Force very scary to deal with. Oh no, ShoWTimE does not have any shield batteries finished up just quite yet. That's going to be so important for him to survive long enough to keep up those shield batteries and heal up these Stalkers.
Yeah, he needs charge to finish ASAP. It will be done in the next couple of seconds. He doesn't have very many Zealots. Ooh, Widowmine drag. No, retarget from Maru keeps it alive, and then he unburrows it. Oh, and it does hit on a couple of sentries. Blink forward will take down the medevacs. Marauders, though, great target fire right there from Maru. And the medevac from the back comes and saves those Marauders. Wow, what a brilliant sequence from Maru.
Maru's micro is disgusting, man. Like, let's go over some of those moves. The Widowmine unburrow as ShoWTimE was pulling off a sick hallucinate Phoenix Widowmine drag attempt. And then also reburrows and target fires while microing those bioforces back against like all the Stalkers and everything. Target fires down the sentries, which are, the guaranteed kill and everything. Then also, as he's microing back his bioforces, target firing down the Stalkers because the Zealots have already used their charge. So they're less of a concern. He's going after the Stalkers so that the medevac can pull everything up. Like, oh my god, Maru is actually filthy disgusting to watch.
He is as cracked as he is jacked. He is a ridiculously good player. And like, it's so easy to forget that he's always been this good, that he's always like this. Because sometimes you don't pay attention. You're like, okay, it's early stage of a tournament. Is he really going to turn it on and play his best? Maybe he just goes, mech in TVZ and sits back for a while and uses his decision making. And then he'll do stuff like that. And you're like, okay, yeah, this is Maru. We do see a double drop coming on, an excellent picture-in-picture right there, showing us that the incomplete pylon does actually see this drop, and we see ShoWTimE with a great response. But the double mine drop could be quite a problem still.
Yeah, some of this harassment is going to be a huge pain for ShoWTimE to deal with. The thing that I was most worried about, I would say, is less so like just the harassment and stuff, but just that it feels like this army is so tough for ShoWTimE to deal with because he hasn't had time to transition out, get up either like double upgrades and flood out with a sick economy on gateway units, or get up actual splash damage tech and everything. Because he hasn't really been able to do either one of those, it's really just... Oh my god. Oh my god. Maru, come on, man.
The target fire was brilliant right there. Oh my god.
That was well done. But yeah, like, I'm worried that ShoWTimE does not really have a tech transition set up yet. Robotics Bay is only just now starting. We're 10 minutes into the game. And Maru has a very Marauder-heavy army. I guess that is actually one thing that's kind of interesting, is that Maru's going so hard on Marauders, and ShoWTimE is mostly flooding out Zealots right now. That can actually sometimes work out okay for the Zealots, but Yeah, this is a tough spot for ShoWTimE.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This is he's going almost Marauder Mine is his full composition. He's got 7 Marines on the map. Now 9. Like that is just such a small number. We are gonna see Zealots in the middle of the map. They get I mean, I was gonna say they intercept the army, but the army is so much bigger that oh my, that was like 7 Zealots that just died for free. And now Maru, he is gonna have an absolutely gigantic swell of units compared to his opponent. I am so scared for ShoWTimE right now.
I am as well. As you can see that one of the forces is going to be dealt with by some units, but the other force, well, Charge Lot's going to be trying to zone out this army. Widowmine's going off on the Charge Lot, so all the shields are taken out. And I mean, this force, here's the interesting thing is that you have to remember Marauders, they do great with concussive shells, they do great versus Stalkers. They don't actually have the highest DPS output versus just actual pure Zealot army compositions. You really do want the Marines to add in that extra DPS. So the Marauder force does take some time to clean up these Zealots, unless the Widowmines connect. And I mean, they're connecting, so it's all well and good for Maru right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's him filling in the gap of that weakness. Guardian Shield gonna get popped. We're gonna see ShoWTimE trying to take a fight, but his army is so severely outclassed right here. And just like that, GG is gonna get called. Maru puts on a masterclass and takes game number 1.
That was brutal to watch, man. I don't even feel like ShoWTimE was playing poorly and everything. ShoWTimE had a decent start with sniping off the first 2 Reapers. Oracle delayed the command center a little bit, but man, I want to bring it all back to, as StarCraft players really love to bring it back to like the single earlier moment that could have changed the entire flow of the game, like the small thing. The Widowmine that killed the Oracle, denying ShoWTimE any high ground vision, so his Stalkers then had to try and bust through the bunker up on the high ground in a much more awkward position before Stim finished. That was ShoWTimE's opportunity to get something done. That, I think, if he had been able to still blink up to the high ground, if he had been able to take slightly better trades there, then, things like the Bioforce getting thinned out, Stim potentially getting delayed and stuff, more workers and stuff going down, like all these things are possible to ShoWTimE to like balance out the damage you're taking from the Cyclone on the other side of the map. But man, that Widowmine was such an MVP.
Yeah, it was huge, and I honestly didn't think that it was gonna go off. And then when I saw it fire, I was surprised. I was like, oh, what did it lock onto? And it was the Oracle. And the thing that makes it even worse is not only did it die and denied high ground vision, it also dragged the splash damage onto those Stalkers and made them just a little bit less effective in the fight. Does he win from that position? Probably not. But can he maybe? I don't know. With perfect micro and a little bit more shields, who knows? I'd have to like go back and look at it. To be honest, I'm not too sure what the exact numbers were. But that was I would agree with you, the big turning point.
I will actually want to like especially highlight what you just mentioned about the Widowmine dragging onto the Stalkers and taking the shields off. Remember that Widowmines do extra damage to shields. They do plus 25 damage to shields in just their like roundabout AoE damage and stuff, not just to their primary target. So that's 40 plus 25. They're taking 65 shields off all the Stalkers. The point of Blink Stalkers is to use the hit points that are shields and then blink back after the shields are gone so they can regenerate, right? You suddenly on almost half, if not more than half of your Stalkers don't have that. Like that's the point of Blink Stalkers, Dave.
Yeah. And if you can't make usage of that, you're taking away, exactly like you said, their one big advantage. And their one big advantage for that point of the game, we are going to be spawning up at the top left for Onside Gaming. It is the Korean Terran Maru.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, the yellow Protoss player. It is ShoWTimE from Berlin International Gaming.
And like you said, I really don't think he played poorly. I don't think he did anything that you would know, you'd look at, you'd be like, oh, that was a super huge mistake. Obviously, flying the Oracle over that Widowmine was very unfortunate, but you can't really fault him too much for that. Like, I thought for sure that was out of range. I was super surprised that connected. And I have full vision. Like, I saw where the Widowmine was, and I was like, nah, There's no way that goes off. So
Also,
it's yeah. Oh, sorry, go on.
oh no, I was just gonna say. Also consider like, I love the decision of ShoWTimE being bold with that Oracle overall in general, just because
Mhm.
remember the whole thing was that he knew that the Cyclones, which would have potentially been able to lock on to the Oracle and push it back and sort of be, a lot of the time they're sitting up there on the high ground at the edge, just ready to lock on to it to prevent, a lot of units from getting too close and everything and doing that little micro back, snap off the Oracle and everything. You know that that's not a threat because both of the Cyclones got caught. One of them got picked off. Another one literally just is somewhere out on the map in the middle of nowhere. So I love the decision making and stuff there from ShoWTimE. I don't hate what he was doing there. It's just, yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate, but also just good, Widowmine placement, I would say, from Maru in that game.
Oh, very much so, yeah. Poor Indy, by the way, he's like Lassie trying to tell us that there's trouble at the old well. Maru, he's scouting the back. He wants to make sure he's not getting proxy stargated, and of course that's very very important on Moondance. Proxy stargate shield battery rush with void rays. If you build the void ray
cannon position,
if you build the stargate like right next to your opponent's from the low ground, I guess, right next to their mineral line, the void ray like spawns in range of the mineral line. Basically, it's ridiculous. But hold that thought. We are going to be seeing a nice little bit of harassment coming in from Maru. He's going to split off the Reaper into the main base. Hellion in the natural. ShoWTimE, though, with a solid defense, is going to be able to pick off both Reapers, and I think he'll get that Hellion as well. It is very much trapped in the bottom right. Pretty solid defense, but Maru does at least get the scout, so there's that.
Yeah. One worker killed, definitely not too bad there for ShoWTimE. So good defense, and didn't actually have to pull like workers off of mining or anything like that. Now Maru does buy himself a little bit of time to get up that Widow mine before any of the units actually move across the map. And like you said, he also has scouting information, but doesn't anticipate the immediate path of the Oracle. Might be able to catch it on the retreat or something. We'll see. Oh. Nice reaction time from ShoWTimE.
That was almost a heart attack right there for me. That was real close to connecting. Oh, nice revelation. He does get the third Widow and seeing that it's 3 Widow Mines is very good information. Actually no, he might not have seen that second Widow Mine, or well, the first Widow Mine actually in the middle. He is building a Phoenix. That's going to be very, very handy for the defense. Behind this, he takes the forward base at the 3 o'clock location, so he doesn't want that crappy, 6 mineral patch, 1 gas in the back. It's a safe base. He's like, no, I'm Giga Chad Protoss. I take the forward base. What's up? Shield batteries? Psh, don't need those. I use units and micro.
I like Alpha Steadfast Protoss. I would enjoy watching a ladder stream of Alpha Steadfast Protoss, actually. Well, I'm with you there, though. I think ShoWTimE is going to feel good about taking that forward third base, just because, having an extra gas geyser makes a world of difference for your third base as a Protoss player. But Widow Mine drop comes in over here. ShoWTimE, very quick to react, has just enough probes there to try and set off versus 1 Widow Mine. Picks off 1 of them. There's going to be a single probe picked off there. And the Phoenix popping out just in the nick of time to lift up the Widow Mine and the main base. Doesn't quite have the DPS to pick it off in time, though. Okay, that Oracle. Oh, that got scary. I do want to note he had to use both the energy to attack the Widow Mine with the Oracle, and also had to use a Revelation just to be safe. So that is actually all of the Oracle energy dissipated. It's only worth mentioning because I think also Marine stepped through the center of the map and took out like some of the stasis traps and stuff. So, I like that Maru's keeping that Oracle energy low.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think that's really, really nice. I do want to point out, by the way, that Phoenix that he made, I think that was in response to revelating the Widow Mines. So, and it prevented him from having to pull that mineral line. Even though he did have to use a lot of extra Oracle energy, it's still better than losing a ton of probes or having to pull the mineral line. Like, it's a mineral line pull, even for like 5-10 seconds, is huge damage. You don't want to have to deal with that. So the fact that ShoWTimE was able to get away with that is very nice. He is going into... Okay, it's charge behind the Colossi, but he started up charge well before his first Colossus. So this is going to be kind of funny, where ShoWTimE has... He doesn't really have one specific power spike on his defense, but he's going to be slowly building power over time. As weird as that is.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, I mean, the Phoenix Colossus style, definitely a strong one against a Terran player and stuff. So, will be interesting to see how this matches up against what Maru's doing. Now, Vikings going on a journey. I don't really have another way of putting it. As it goes behind the third base and behind the natural here of ShoWTimE, is going to land. And it's just funny to see because he knows that there's at least a Phoenix out.
Yeah.
So this is not destined to get a whole lot done. And it is funny because I do feel like when you're up against Colossus and stuff, those Vikings could be pretty handy.
Yeah, even just one Viking can kind of force a certain reaction. Maybe it means the Phoenixes get a little bit closer. Maybe it means you just slowly chip away at them. Maybe it means you drain a little bit of shield battery energy. But keeping it alive is very valuable. That being said, it's my favorite unit interaction in the game to see a landed Viking get lifted up and killed by Phoenixes. Nothing even comes close. And as we see there on the units lost tab, only 2 probes have gone down. Maru. Oh man, I just came up with their casting Archon if they ever somehow casted something. But Maru is holding firm. He's going into double upgrades now. His extended thermal lance is going to be done in time for whatever push out from Maru. But that being said, Maru went for a very quick 4th command center.
Yeah, going for a really nice early 4th base. I mean, he is super gearing up for... I mean, you know what? Actually, it makes sense, actually, as I think about it. We're on Moondance.
Yeah.
The base that he took, it's not as bad for Terran because, you know, you're a little lighter on gas sometimes, like for the earlier stages of the game and whatnot. But as the game goes on, you really do start feeling the impact of taking the pocket base that has fewer mineral patches and one less gas geyser. So taking a 4th base a bit earlier on is something that makes a lot of sense. He's getting ready to try and take that 4th base, but ShoWTimE posturing is going to scare him back.
Yeah, at first I was like, man, what is he doing with those tanks? And yeah, like you said, he is actually terrified of ShoWTimE's army. And at first glance, it doesn't look that scary, but this is a very, very wise decision from Maru right now. He recognizes that he doesn't have a ton to deal with Colossus except those siege tanks. Now, the siege tanks trying to hold the 4th base, they are going to have a tough time getting value. Siege tanks kind of huddled up in the natural or on the high ground, they are going to do extraordinarily well. That being said, ShoWTimE's not in a position where he needs to get a lot done. Now, that being said, that could change very quickly if these Widow Mines get some big damage. But once again, ShoWTimE is doing very, very well, and he should be able to lift this in the natural again. The defense from ShoWTimE has been phenomenal in game number 2.
Yeah, and he also is going to be able to get that medevac before it gets home with those Phoenix. So well played there by ShoWTimE. Really, really solid defense. Just has to clean up that other Widow Mine that's sitting over there at that other base. It's got a single probe kill. Might be able to get a second one here. But yeah, he's looking to be in a really strong position, having a 5th base up as Maru tries to take his 4th. Now, here's the scary thing. There is something that Maru is known for, Steadfast. And it rhymes with Erdling, all right? And I feel like late game Maru is scary. And I will say a little like asterisk on that is I think it's usually he's known for turtling in TVZ. His TVP, I don't think he really plays as much of a turtle playstyle, but I think his late game is still very good in TVP.
I thought you were going to say rhymes with tree pixie aground. I'm going to give you a second on that one.
I woke up at 1 a.m. today, Steadfast. I'm not piecing that one together.
No worries. I was going for 360 surround, but I'm not very good at Mad Gab.
Oh, yeah, that was clever. You know what? That was a clever one.
The thing is, a tree pixie aground could actually be a thing. It would be a very weird situation, but it could make sense in the right context. Now, ShoWTimE, he is heading up towards that Stargate transition. Unclear yet if it's going to be Tempests or if it's going to be Carriers. I do think Tempests are the higher potential unit. Oh, Stasis Ward. Nice. Okay, gets a couple Marauders. That's going to allow him to maybe pick off these units. He's trying to get back in position. Maru looking for the pocket base that hasn't been taken yet. Wow, that's a lot of missile turrets. Speaking of rhyming with hurdling.
Yeah. That is a man who has had a Warp Prism warp in a few too many Zealots into their like how to spot a Terran player that's been scarred for life.
Yep. And you know what? On a map like Moondance, where turtling is such a strong option, I think it's a great decision. These Marauders, they come out of their stasis ward. How is this getting damage done? This has no business doing this. And I would say the most impactful thing right here is actually the fact that he sees the carrier transition right as it's trying to start on up. A little Zealot run by from ShoWTimE gets, I mean, it gets a turret, so that's kind of nice. The big thing that's good for ShoWTimE is that his eco is... He's the first one to start building a bank.
Yeah. That is going to be extremely helpful. And the reality is, well, there's going to, of course, be some big, skirmish between these two players with a very, very late game focused armies. That's going to be obviously the big focus. The economies of how you can replenish from that army is going to be as important, I would say, as how the actual skirmish goes. This ability to try and replenish with an effective army supply is going to potentially decide, who actually takes the big momentum in the game and everything. So being able to build up a nice little bank here that gives ShoWTimE the ability to not just reinforce with pure zealots or something. You can actually reinforce with some gas units. And, well, I mean, Maru's going to take his next base and everything, but you can see that the expansion path here for Maru is a lot slower.
Yeah, and it's understandable because he is going so... He's purposely slow playing this. I like that Maru, by the way, said that Oracle didn't die fast enough and added like 3 more turrets on. It's like, yeah. Right now, they're both just kind of trading out units. ShoWTimE sacrificing one of those Phoenixes from the early game in order to just get a little bit of info. I wonder if he's looking for a specific timing.
Just die?
Oh, yeah. He killed it. Wow. He killed off his own Colossus there. That's not the kind of unit I think of that you sacrifice. I would think, maybe like an Archon because ghosts are going to be so good.
Yeah, exactly. I think Colossus are so good at not just like Bion stuff. Artosis Pylon over there. Or should we call it a Tasteless Pylon now that Artosis is abandoning Tasteless? Tasteless is the one that's all alone.
Damn.
Oh.
Womp,
Artosis
womp.
moved to Canada, or now it's a Tasteless Pylon.
The Artosis Pylon is now on a different map. It's like, yeah, no, my co-caster from Canada. And they're like, yeah, you really have a co-caster? Do you really? And it's like, yeah, you just haven't met them yet. They go to a different school. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, too real, man. Too real. Well, we are going to see ShoWTimE doing a little move out over here. I don't hate these kind of move outs and stuff, but I feel like if you are going to do these, I really like when the Protoss player just gets not even... See, you're going to be taking damage like this. This is what always gets really scary. If you have even just 1 or 2 Tempests, oh my god, that Psystorm damage is phenomenal.
That is what I was just going to say. You can't be moving out without Storm to cover against these Vikings. And we saw the first EMP went off pretty nicely. But the second Templar, I don't know if it was the same Templar that still had energy or what it was. But man, oh man, did that ever get a huge storm. And that is the kind of thing that as Maru, you've got to be very, very careful of. 1 or 2 storms like that can absolutely end your day. Like, if you lose 20 Vikings, the expenditure, like, the budget cannot handle it.
I agree with you, Steadfast, but I think the little asterisk there is if you lose the Vikings.
Yes.
If you take the storm and then you just go back and repair it, it's not too bad. And I think, ShoWTimE didn't have the ability to continue pushing forward. And ShoWTimE lost, 1 or 2 carriers there as well. So I think ShoWTimE still comes out the worst for the wear on that particular trade. But I wholeheartedly agree. You have to be wary. As soon as you start taking those storms, you need to be able to create distance for yourself so that you have time to repair. And I think Maru did a good job of doing exactly that. And I am still, even though ShoWTimE is building up a nice little bank over here, I am a little bit worried that ShoWTimE... Okay, no. I take back my worries. He's added in some of the Tempests, so he can be a little bit more annoying without having to push as far forward. He can actually pressure against turrets and stuff with disruptors, with the Tempest and everything, and he doesn't have to get in range of the actual Vikings.
Yeah, so this becomes such a super intricate dance. You want to use the disruptors to zone out the ghosts so that you can keep the High Templar at the front so that the Vikings cannot go after your carriers, so that the Tempests and, well, Tempests and carriers can stay safe, and the Tempest can fire from range, but the Liberators are going to be trying to zone out both the High Templar and the disruptors. It is just a very, very complicated army to control on both sides. And one misstep doesn't necessarily mean the end, but it can mean the end for either player if they misstep in a big engagement. Oh, wow. That's 3 Archons for free. Oh, boy.
Yeah, casual
Nice.
900 gas kind of disappearing right there. So, well, you know, equally so, Ghost's also pretty gas intensive. So that's going to be a nice pick off there with the disruptors. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is such an intricate dance and everything. I do want to quickly note, Maru, yes, he doesn't have as big of a bank as ShoWTimE. And that's partially because of, you know, just overall mining base and everything. But also, I do think Maru has been investing a lot more into static defense compared to ShoWTimE. Like,
Yes.
substantially more. It's not because Protoss players can't invest into static defense as much. You can find the ability to make lots more cannons and shield batteries and stuff, especially aggressively, if you want to try and really get in your opponent's face and stuff. But it's an intentional decision for Maru to basically just say he's not really getting too aggressive. I think this is the one exception base because, well, this is just so close that it's almost Maru being defensive right now.
Yeah, exactly. And you just want to keep your opponent off these kinds of bases. These are going to be the kind of contentious bases as the game, like, we're obviously still a ways away from going there, but if the game goes to a split map scenario, it's going to be these high ground bases that are going to be the big points of contention, and whoever mined more from them could end up taking the game. Now, that being said, we are going to see a huge EMP all over the army. ShoWTimE with a little bit of a late storm right there. You know, that was in a different time zone, technically. We do have a really great revelation, and both players are doing a great job with the vision, but I love the usage of some nukes right now, because this is absolutely going to force ShoWTimE's army back. He has no way to really get at that Ghost, and, wow, look at that, the nuke even gets the kill. I mean, obviously that Nexus was gonna go down anyways, but, you know, there's always something special about the nuke getting the kill. It's nice.
Yeah, gonna be a good feeling there for Maru as he progresses forward and says, well, I guess I can rotate around. I mean, this is also technically my base. I mean, doesn't this all belong to me? Don't I deserve this base as well? He's gonna be able to, you know, again, continue to EMP, not just the units and stuff, not just the High Templar, but I mean, even just EMPing the siege or the cannons and stuff is gonna, if there were any shield batteries back further, that would also drain some of the shield battery energy. It just makes everything so annoying here for ShoWTimE. It really puts the pressure on. It makes you feel like you have to do something. And the last thing ShoWTimE actually wants to do right now is attack into that sieged up position of Maru.
Yeah, I actually feel like ShoWTimE, I feel like he has to kind of give up this position and at the very least threaten a counterattack. He can't just chill here. Ooh, pretty decent nuke on, gets a couple of probes and really chips away at the static defenses as well. We are seeing some nice kiting right here. SCV is being brought to the front line to repair up some of these Vikings. The one thing I will say, but I don't think ShoWTimE is going to be able to get the opportunity to do it. If he can get a big trade out, I haven't mentioned this yet. We haven't mentioned it yet. There are 23 gateways on the map. He can have 46 army supply in an instant to repop. But will they ever wipe each other's armies out enough such that that is relevant? That's the big question for me.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think another thing that I oftentimes feel like I see a lot of Protoss players try and do in this situation, nice disruptors actually zoned back quite a bit of the army and actually managed to snag a few ghosts. I was going to say is that I feel like we oftentimes see Protoss players trying to find even just a little bit of supply for like DT run bys on other bases and stuff. Basically, I think this is such, as you said, a micro intensive situation. You have to be so attentive. Even at the absolute top level, things like this can happen if you're not looking for an instant. So having even a little bit of the attention diverted away for a bit can be really, really powerful. You know, even just like 4 or 5 DPs. I do trust ShoWTimE. You know, he knows a lot better than I do, especially in these kind of late game situations, that kind of knows what he's doing. Maybe he's, you know, fine or figures that Maru's just going to have too many defenses set up, like a PF and, you know, a bunch of missile turrets and stuff, where he doesn't want to sacrifice the supply, I guess, and on another side of the map. But I really wouldn't mind if he just find a way to trade out maybe some of like the little stalkers or something, and just even a 4 or 5 DT run by can really pull the attention away.
Absolutely. We are seeing the Tempest continue to get some good stuff done. Great storm right there from ShoWTimE on the Vikings. We do see the second storm hits a couple of ghosts. And actually, are there any medevacs? There are no medevacs on the field. Those ghosts are really under duress right now, and they got to be careful about Colossus. They got to be careful about any kind of chip damage. Ghosts are tanky, but they're not. They don't have infinite HP by any stretch. They only have 100 HP, and they're expensive units too. Something else that is really, really getting important at this point is the units lost. And Maru, for a little bit, it was dead even, and then he took some nice trades on at that outside base. He went up by about 2,000. Now we're seeing ShoWTimE after that disruptor shot, after reclaiming this high ground and kind of baking the momentum of Maru. It's now ShoWTimE who's ahead 2,000 resources, and he's got a gigantic bag.
You know, I feel like I could read off the mineral. Oh my god, that storm is so nice, even with all the SCVs repairing. I feel like I could read off the number of like minerals that ShoWTimE has, but I feel like it's better put into the sense that ShoWTimE has 150 zealots in bank. He can warp in 150 zealots, guys. Like, that's a big bank. Ooh, that's also. I love the disruptors trying to actually hit some of the SCVs that are repairing these Vikings as well. That's a very nice use of them.
Yeah, this is such patient play from ShoWTimE right here. We do have to see. Okay, he does pull back from the nuke. Good stuff. Oh, SCVs are starting to go down on the left side as well to a little bit of a run by. This is where, oh wow, why is that an orbital? That is a very confusing move to me, the fact that that's an orbital. Maybe he's worried about blink DTs.
Yeah.
ShoWTimE does need to avoid this nuke once again. Oh, the disruptors!
Oh, he's gonna kill it. Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. That was so anticlimactic.
Yeah, you could survive a little bit of like the nearby damage to the nuke and stuff, okay, but man, I've really got to hand it to ShoWTimE. Even though I think there's been some dicey things of Maru establishing all these new bases, ShoWTimE has now started putting that pressure on I was talking about earlier with some of the run bys on the left-hand side. He might be losing this base in the near future again, but I think these trades are so worthwhile for him, right? As long as he's able to deny some of the extra bases and coming up, Maru really is bleeding out a lot faster than ShoWTimE. So I really, really like how these trades have been going. You can see resources lost. Maru has lost more. It's not just that ShoWTimE was mining more earlier. ShoWTimE has actually been more cost efficient.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is that ShoWTimE has let a couple of bases get up that I would have really preferred to not see him let go up. Specifically that top right corner. The problem is this position that Maru is in threatens so much space. There's a reason that neither one of them wants to give it up. Like this controls so much of the map right now. Really controls the entirety of that top right. Oh, and as I say that, Maru is actually going to give up the position. But now if he does so, this completely exposes his top two right bases.
Yeah, you know, it's a really interesting call because I think that Maru is just going to go for the counterattack, right? Because ShoWTimE's army is not exactly super mobile. He can rely a little bit on some of the storms and stuff, but that's only going to do so much damage, right? Can he actually zone him back entirely? Wait, Maru is retreating. Maru doesn't feel like he can move up that ramp, and he's basically, like you said, Steadfast, he's traded out one of his bases for absolutely nothing. He might be trading out a second base as long as ShoWTimE can just get out of here safely, and he does.
Oh, but he doesn't kill the base. There wasn't enough like anti-building DPS, and now we see a bit of a stumbling retreat from ShoWTimE. He is going to lose a couple of the carriers on a really unfortunate rally right there. The Viking count is so high. Where are the High Templar? Does he have any Storm available? He's got 9 High Templar on the map, but I don't... Are they just further back in the army? Okay, they're further back in the army. Oh, man, this is... Well, it almost feels like a bait, but I don't understand how it works. Like, he was like, oh, yes, I'm going to bait you into pushing forward, and then you'll be uncomfortable when I actually return over here. Oh, the feedbacks. Oh, my goodness, those are some huge feedbacks.
Nuke. Okay, Nuke is going to go off, soften up some of the Tempest, but, you know, not too hit. Mostly the shields get taken off, and the shield batteries take care of that. Nexus goes down, but that base was definitely one that's been up for a bit. So I don't think ShoWTimE's going to have his economy hurt too much. It's funny enough, it's both players that I feel like all of their fresh bases, outside of like this high ground location that ShoWTimE has expanded to, all of the fresh bases are really on the bottom left for both players. And neither one of their players are actually putting any of their army there.
Yeah, this observer, okay, I was just about to say, if Maru doesn't see this observer, that could be catastrophic for him, but he does see it. Huge EMP on those Tempests. But they're just going to pull back to the shield battery. Nice EMP on the Oracle, and he gets the kill with the Ghosts as well.
Yeah.
Damn, nicely done by Maru. ShoWTimE is going to replenish with 2 more oracles, and he's finally getting blink DTs. I do want to point out by the way, that ShoWTimE never got +3 shields, never got +3 air armor, whereas Maru has all 15 upgrades. He even got the high capacity fuel tanks for the memes, obviously, because why else would you get it? It is obviously very good on medevacs, but they're not going to be that handy here. He once again can't get the base. And yeah, Maru's treating this as a trap, saying, ShoWTimE, if you get your army stuck up there, I'm going to kill it. I think I would actually really like to see, by the way, ShoWTimE using a mothership just for recalls.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a really cute and nice move there, as a lot of these DTs are actually getting EMP'd, and we're seeing ShoWTimE very much on the retreat over here, as a couple of storms are going to be able to zone out so many of the Vikings. The Ghosts all going to get taken out by the Disruptors. It is a massive trade on both sides, but I have to say, ShoWTimE is fighting closer to his shield batteries, and now the massive Blink Stalker warp in. But the Blink forward isn't quite in range of a lot of these liberators. He takes a bit more damage than maybe he wants to. ShoWTimE is going to be trailing a bit behind in supply, but his supply is here now. Maru's is in production.
And it's not just that first warp in, it's the second one as well. He's going to be able to replenish so much quicker. We do have to point out, by the way, that ShoWTimE has a very, very small amount of gas relative to his gigantic mineral bank. He is going to blink forward here. He's got an Immortal and a couple Archons. He will take down this Planetary, so there's that at least. But look at the Liberator production. There are 9 Liberators on the way, 5 Ghosts, 2 tanks. This is a mech rebuild if ever there was one. But 3 of these Liberators are going to pop out to their doom, and he's going to lose these 3 starports as well. This is what I was actually almost more concerned about on this top right side, was the production and the map control that you give up by losing this. I really wish he killed off that one Liberator, but he's going to blink up to the top side. Uh-oh, he's got to be careful. He has to secure a retreat path.
Yeah, you do not want to get stuck up on the high ground over there against this kind of army, but it does seem like ShoWTimE is going to be able to escape out of there okay. Maru has expended his entire bank, and he's still not maxed out, and we see ShoWTimE doing a very aggressive blink forward into Siege Tank, into Siege Liberators, not the trade he wants, and now ShoWTimE has an awkward task of trying to get up to his high ground around a very, very long pathway. He's trying to shield better, overcharge to keep this Nexus alive, but with the pylon getting depowered, it is going to fall.
Yeah, but he doesn't need this Nexus. He shouldn't even be fighting in this location. He just rebuilt a massively mobile army. He should go over to the left side and thank Maru for the fact that he's, once again, this is an orbital. And more SCVs are going to fall. Maru's only on 30 SCVs. Now, that doesn't mean he's on 162 army supply, which is gigantic. But now he moves in with the main army. Something else we have to point out, by the way, I don't think he ever got tectonic destabilizers.
No, he didn't. This was bug. I was looking for the right moment when we didn't have action happening, but that is something that is bugging me, because a bunch of the times he was hitting the top right-hand side with his Tempest, he could have killed that base if he had tectonic destabilizers. The Tempest upgrade versus buildings. Oh my god, these storms, so good, as Maru just walks straight on through them. He does have a few medevacs to actually heal up some of that army, but definitely ends up taking quite a few losses over there and is a beaten and battered army, especially on an army that really does need that starport time after having lost so many starports to just make more Vikings and more Liberators. So there aren't going to be a lot of medevacs coming out for a bit. Man, the resources lost is actually pretty even, but 5,000 more resources lost there for Maru still.
And we've been talking about the bank the whole time, but that's been the story of this game, is that ShoWTimE's bank is just gigantic. Now, that nuke on the bottom left, I really, really like that. We'll keep an eye on that. Okay, ShoWTimE does pull the probes, but it's important to note he doesn't have any static defenses at the top of this ramp to prevent the Ghost from just walking up here. Another important thing to note, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, is that the Viking count is very low. If there was like 12 Tempests on the map right now, I don't know that Maru could actually fight it. As it is, there's 8, and that's still going to be very difficult to deal with. Oh, lift. Oh, no.
How many orbitals does Maru have? I feel like Maru's been bleeding out a lot of orbitals here. And you mentioned earlier his worker count was not super high. Okay.
Oh.
That's
the Ghost, he nuked himself to kill the probes. Oh, F's in the chat for the Ghost, who didn't give any hex.
Yeah. The suicide mission Ghost, man. Overly dramatic, but he gets the job done in the end, I guess. Oh, this base is going to be under some fire. Sensor tower might end up burning down. Yeah, I'm really actually wondering how does Maru... he can't take any more bases, really, right? Unless he takes the top right, but that's going to be a tough base for him to take. I don't think he can take the center base that ShoWTimE keeps failing to actually mine from. That's just not a base that I feel like he can take. So
if he's able to take it, it's because he's gotten a ton of... He's really gained ground on ShoWTimE. But that being said, ShoWTimE is going to go for a counterattack, and this is what I was kind of expecting earlier. He will be able to pick off a couple of tanks on the rally. No, it looks like he only got one right there. Meanwhile, the Liberator on the bottom side will get dealt with. Planetary is going to go down, but this is where that Tectonic Destabilizers would be so handy. Actually, getting the Orbitals is almost maybe more valuable. Disruptors, those tanks. Tanks got to be careful. Storm on the Liberators.
Oh my god, the EMP on this entire Protoss army, but the Disruptors all land! The big connections. A couple of Disruptors are left behind as they have bad pathing through and around the rock. So, yeah, ShoWTimE is actually bleeding out quite a few units over here. He still has a big bank that he can try and warp in with. Most of the air army outside of some of those Liberators have been taken care of, though. So I wonder if just charge lots are going to actually be enough to break through this kind of army.
Well, they have to be because he's got no gas in the bank. He's only got 800 gas.
Okay, this is getting into a really weird spot, but he has so many minerals available. He's warping in so many Zealots at a time. He is remaking Tempest. I think that is going to be a key component of being able to take out these Liberators. Because again, most of the anti-air defenses now, it's not really like Vikings. There's a handful of Vikings, but it's actually going to be a lot of the Tempests and stuff if they can just get the damage done. And we end up seeing the Zealots just absolutely overwhelm everything on the ground.
That is a much better position for ShoWTimE to fight into, much more wide open, and the Zealots find the value. That is the key to victory right now for ShoWTimE, is using that mineral bank and getting the value. He does definitely overcommit into the natural, loses like 15 extra Zealots that he really didn't need to, and this game is still so close. The probe count for ShoWTimE is actually starting to get really problematically low. While we do have Maru reestablishing that base on the top right, this game is still so close, and it is still anyone's game.
I think if ShoWTimE can shut down the base on the top right, I actually think he has this game. But if he doesn't, if he can't shut down the mining here, then Maru does have a second shot in this, because yeah, he's getting the resources he needs to.
He targeted the High Templar. He targeted the High Templar with the Planetary. Maru, you living legend.
This is actually turning into such a scrappy, weird game. Okay, would you recall some of your units here to take advantage of like a fight with the shield batteries?
I don't know, man. I don't know what the right decision is. I see everything, and I don't know what the right decision is. But ShoWTimE is so all in now. He's on 15 workers, and his bank is gone. He needs to take a decisive engagement. And the loss of those High Templar, it could be massively impactful. Tank on the left side going to try and come on in. Massive flank from ShoWTimE. He's trying to sweep in over this army. Can he do it? He blinks into the Liberators. The EMPs are gigantic. The Zealots of ShoWTimE stuck on the right side, but the storm on the army is very huge. We are seeing the Stalkers chewing through the army of Maru, and I think ShoWTimE might just have done it. Ghost going down on the retreat. His army is so bruised up. Both players are broke. Maru mining off of a base that's not even in the right spot. Can he get enough to survive? I don't think so. ShoWTimE gonna find the final mining base of Maru.
I just don't see how Maru can remake the army he needs to deal with this. This orbital is going to go down. All of the SCVs are going to go down over here. There's 6 SCVs left on the map. Maru is desperately just trying to base trade. And I mean, this is realistically a pretty big win over here, sagging down that base. Even if it wasn't mining, that was going to be pretty much all of the potential mining there for ShoWTimE outside of, I don't know, some gas at one of the bottom center bases or something. But ShoWTimE, he's in such a good spot now. He's got a relatively even army supply, but the army he has, I think, just straight up trades better. It just is going to trade so much better than the army that Maru has.
That it does, but still one bad engagement could turn everything against ShoWTimE. He's got to be careful. He doesn't want to attack through a choke. He wants to fight in a wide open area where the Zealots can connect with their charge very easily. This Observer could be game winning, but oh no, we're not going to see the engagement. We're not going to see the trigger being pulled. The Disruptor is massive. What a shot from ShoWTimE, and 2 more Ghosts go down to another Disruptor right there. Nice concussive shells will take down one of those Disruptors on the retreat, but ShoWTimE gets a bunch of damage and retreats out with the main part of his army.
And he retreats back to the shield batteries. All the EMPs effectively nullified. There he gets another one of these ghosts. Maru's down to 3 gas right now. There is 0 gas income right now. The only thing Maru can even attempt to replenish are Marines at this point. So every one of these pickoffs is brutal. Maru is just going to be falling further and further behind. He has to just be able to force a fight somewhere, somehow, some way. And I just don't know how he's going to be able to do it.
I don't see a way either. He is going to get this base. Nope, looks like ShoWTimE will force him back. Gets a Widowmine. Every unit counts at this point. ShoWTimE does pop battery overcharge. He's going to top off that Nexus a little bit, and he's going to take the fight on the ramp. Zealots kind of getting meat grinded a little bit here, but the Disruptor shot will get denied. The tanks take it out. Does Maru have enough, though? I don't think so.
The shield batteries change everything, and another Disruptor. Even if it doesn't snag the big connection, there is, in fact, a lot of shield batteries over here. GG is going to get called. 61 supply to 21 at the end of a 38-minute slugfest. ShoWTimE ties up the series 1-1.
What a brilliant showing. That was absolutely incredible. Both players putting on they just left it all out there on that match. That was a really, really well done performance out of both of them. God, I was a little bit, I was a little bit like, oh man, we haven't had any good games like when I've been doing it. Like they've all been super one-sided. They've been super quick, and then it's like it all charged up to that one game. The Spirit Bomb. All the Spirit Bomb energy went into this one game.
Yeah, I think that game is so funny too, because it was ShoWTimE having a pretty decent start, and then Maru just kind of hitting him over. Was like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit back and like turtle. And the only time he really got on the offensive for quite a bit of that game was when ShoWTimE was trying to take that upper high ground base that was like the central location for so much of that game. Outside of that, Maru was really, really just pulled back, okay with ShoWTimE kind of out expanding him, getting up a bigger bank and everything. So I think what was scary to me is that was Maru saying, yeah, I'll play you in the late game. I'm Maru. I live for the late game. And ShoWTimE effectively just said, all right, yeah, sure, let's do it. And he did it. He did what a lot of people really failed to do against Maru. So with that, going into a game number 3, it really does make me kind of question whether Maru will feel as confident doing the same kind of maneuver, which I feel like it's almost like a fallback logic for Maru of losing game, therefore turtle, and I still win. It's like now suddenly that's not a fallback option anymore. You actually have to win the game like a normal human being now.
Yeah, you can't just stay back and just chill. You have to actually you actually have to come at your opponent. Brilliant stuff, man. ShoWTimE absolutely killing it here. I am so impressed.
I also want to note, we haven't really talked about it at all, but there is a second one of TLO's true or false predictions that is also now hinging on this game as well as the next one, which is at least 3 Protoss players. I think, was it at least, or was it exactly?
It's
exactly 3 Protoss players will advance will advance to the upper bracket quarterfinals, which is, basically all the players that advance through from this round to the next one. We have only 1 Protoss player right now. That's Hero that is advanced on. ShoWTimE and Knee both have to advance for TLO's prediction to be true. So if ShoWTimE doesn't win this series, then TLO is going to be finding yet another false prediction there.
That he will. And without further ado, I think we're going to be getting right into the next game here. This is so exciting. We've got spawning up at the top right for for Onside Gaming. It is Maru.
And up here at the top left-hand side of the map, our yellow Protoss player from Team Berlin International Gaming. He is ShoWTimE. He's going to be going up against the good old Maru Proxy Racks. And it's a double gas as well for Maru, so he's going to be likely getting up that Proxy Reaper and then following it up with a nice fast factory.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool to see what he can do here. I mean, there was a time where Maru was proxying every single matchup or like every single building
Yeah,
in TVP.
it's still a thing
Technically,
sometimes.
technically there was a time where he could have been proxying every single matchup. Proxy 2 racks TVT, proxy 2 racks Reaper TVT, proxy 2 racks TVZ, and then proxy 111 in TVP. I don't think we're gonna see that, but I wouldn't hate it. That'd be pretty bold. But Maru is a bold player. That being said, it's just gonna be more standard, just a single proxy racks. Understandable, breaking my heart, but that's okay.
Yeah, this is Maru getting a little unlucky with the initial RNG there. There are very few elements of RNG, I would say, in a game of StarCraft, but the positioning for an SCV while building the bunker is definitely one of them. So it does survive with a few more hit points, but I think it was going to get up pretty much regardless. So Maru is going to be able to get up that bunker and be super duper annoying. The usual thing that ShoWTimE is already actually somewhat prepared for by having his second pylon placed in the right position. ShoWTimE is likely going to have to get up a shield battery and pick away at the bunker slowly but surely. He's going to be taking some damage there on that probe, but try and delay maybe one of the add-ons to get us a poke in and scout on what's going on. So there's the shield battery. You have to wait for that to finish up. You can use the shields on that stalker to try and do a little bit of damage, but we have a second Reaper popping up over here. Going to be trying to be annoying.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a nuisance right here for ShoWTimE to deal with. The main damage you take is the lost mining time. The fact that you don't get to mine from your natural for such a long time. Oh, and look at this. We're actually going to see a Marine. Wait, hang on. He's built 3 Marines. Yeah. Sorry, my brain did a thing. And now we're seeing the Reaper getting up into the main base, and he's going to run by with the Hellions as well. Oh, that's a big lineup.
Up a lot of probes. Yeah, I mean, now the Reaper can basically 3-shot or maybe 4-shot some of these probes. It's definitely going to be some nice damage potential here. 2 workers already killed. Goes through a third. Is not able to find it, but shield battery is already going to be drained of energy. You need a shield battery overcharged now. And I think now he should be able to break through that bunker with 3 stalkers working away at it. But damage has already been done, as we were kind of hinting at there, steadfast. Even with 3 Marines having to be forced out and everything. Yeah, the Maru should be happy with this.
Oh, I think he's going to be happy enough with it. Of course, not getting the salvage on the bunker, that does kind of suck. And he will get all the Marines here. So ShoWTimE is still going to be okay with this, but his worker count is going to be, it's the mining time lost. Ooh, the Oracle basically popping out at this time. Oh, pulling the probes. We didn't see the instant burrow from Maru, and that kind of cost him there a little bit. ShoWTimE able to shut that down very, very quickly.
Yeah, man, that is a really, really big blow there. I guess thankful for Maru that there's a second Oracle coming, or another Oracle coming on out, not a Phoenix, because otherwise that medevac also would have died, which would have been a really, really bad start. So suddenly, yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty good about ShoWTimE. I think this is, like you were saying, it wasn't terrible for ShoWTimE. I wasn't feeling super great about it. Now I actually feel pretty good about ShoWTimE's position.
Oh, yeah, I feel great about his position. Going to be adding on a Forge into Twilight Council, 3rd Nexus. Oh, got to be careful about those Widow Mines. But he's going to be advancing his tech. ShoWTimE really prefers to play non-committally with his Oracles. He really likes to keep them back. I like that we've now got a fake cloak coming on the tech lab. That's obviously in response to the revelation, but we are going to see a couple of okay, he gets a couple of SCVs. Nice cute little move right there from Maru, repositioning his Widow Mines underneath, try and get the denial, but keeping these Widow Mines at home is not exactly what you want. Meanwhile, Viking, I don't think that got anything done. I think that wow. Once again, this starting unit's lost, I guess, tab, this whole thing is looking very similar to game number 2 right there.
Yeah, really, really nice start here. My God, for ShoWTimE, it is exponentially better. It's almost an order of magnitude better so far for ShoWTimE, but it's still early games, so that order of magnitude is still a small order of magnitude overall. And things can definitely turn around with some of the potential units and stuff that Maru's getting out, but ShoWTimE is still going to be very happy. He's been able to find little bits and pieces of damage. He's kept his units and oracles alive. He's got up some, he's getting up some of the tech and stuff that's going to be helpful later on. He's gotten up his 3 bases. I think one thing I will say that is a very map dependent kind of thing. Stargazers is one of the most pain in the butt maps for dealing with drops and stuff on, which, can be actually great for things like oracles as well. But I will say that in pocket natural that you get as a Protoss player, that is just drop central for Terran players on this map. That is very annoying to deal with.
It certainly is. It is no fun whatsoever. I do want to point out, by the way, that Maru is really playing to the map right here. He went super fast 3rd command center and goes for the double engineering bay as well. So he's playing it's a real greedy way of playing, but on a map like Stargazers, it is quite good. Widowmine once again does get evaded. Good job right there by ShoWTimE. After that Widowmine loss, he took it to heart after it in game number 1, and he's like, "Nuh-uh, I know your tricks here, Maru," and that's really good information. Meanwhile, we got a double Robo Colossus follow-up, or potentially fast disruptors, but I think it's going to be Colossus. Yeah, there we go. Hello? Okay, so we've got... All right, so we've got, looks like maybe a little bit of technical issues, but that is all right. I thought Fear Dragon was just having the absolute
oh my god
biggest
I'm
giggle.
so sorry. I have been talking this entire time and I muted my microphone volume because I was coughing, and then sorry about that. I straight up forgot to unmute it. My bad. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. I was saying I love watching the oracles, doing the diligent thing that ShoWTimE does with the stasis traps and stuff. Nice little Blink Stalker play, by the way, there from ShoWTimE. But yeah, I was, I can sum up everything that I said. ShoWTimE is a really beautiful, beautiful man, and also a beautiful player with his beautiful play.
Perfect. Awesome. I can sum up what I just went through. I just experienced gaslighting. We had Ruby trying his best. It was a
low-key game of surprise caster chicken right there.
It was caster chicken, and I did not consent to this one. But that is okay. We do see ShoWTimE. He is really starting to pull ahead in this game. Now, Maru is going to be the kind of player that is really, really difficult to kill. Oh, this is funny. Oh, that is so funny to see those two things next to each other. Something really interesting about this map, by the way, is if you have a primarily Stalker Colossus army... Oh, well, that's a pretty nice Widowmine right there. If you have a primarily Stalker Colossus army, if you look at the ramp going up into the kind of from the pocket 4th now, which is what Maru is taking, if you can manage to get some Colossus and Stalkers up that location, and it works the same way technically actually over the minerals as well, you can just get a clear route right on top of the Terran production. I don't know if that'll come into effect, especially since we've got, 15 charge lots, and that's a big portion of the army. But if ShoWTimE can find an opening, he might be able to take advantage of some of the map terrain on this map.
Okay. Oh, man. The War Prism's going to get in right before the missile turret wall goes up here from Maru that is able to deny a lot of these kind of same drop plays before. But Maru also has a lot of units that just popped out of production. He's very quick to rally those units over. Look at all these medevacs fully loaded on up. That actually scares me a bit because ShoWTimE has his entire army on the south side. So Maru, he's chasing the War Prism with so much army supply that ShoWTimE might look at this and identify and say, well, wait, doesn't that mean that you don't have that much army on the south side? And he might actually try and find an opportunity here.
It certainly looks like he wants to, but there's way too many tanks right here. And ShoWTimE doesn't have enough vision behind this. He's got Revelation on the tanks themselves, but he doesn't see enough to make him feel comfortable about committing. And I will say ShoWTimE losing that War Prism in the top right, that was a pretty big mistake. He could have gotten it up into a safe zone and at least forced a Viking over there. But it's with all the bio there, he wasn't going to be able to find too much. It is 4 Colossus, by the way, which is, a little bit more than we're used to seeing in a situation like this. The tanks will do very well against them, but until they can get in range, nice positioning from the Colossus. He's going to be able to find a couple of gases. Ooh, nice disruptor shot as well. That's nice usage of the position. Oh, but the Doom drop.
Yeah, and the cannons are in the main base, so they are actually there to help push back a little bit of that Doom drop, try and buy a little bit of time here. We do see a Colossus or 2, actually, potentially a recall in the main base from the picture-in-picture there. Able to force this back, but still, it is a recall that ShoWTimE really didn't want to have to do. He was in such an abusive position there, down below those gas geysers, denying some mining time and everything, and now he is pulled all the way back up to the top left. I mean, it's quite literally the furthest recall you could probably go for it, from the bottom right to the top left.
Yeah, that's a big pullback. We do see a couple of ghosts getting taken down. Oh man, Maru just wants to really turn this into his playground, this top part of the map right here. And I think as ShoWTimE, I think maybe you just take a page out of Maru's book right there, drop a bunch of cannons on that, on that little ledge, and just say, no, you don't get to do this. Like, I have map control. You can't bust through the bottom, so I'm just going to hold the top.
I wouldn't even mind if you made a single Phoenix and just put it on patrol up there. Oh, finding some of the medevacs that haven't unloaded over here. Charge Loss are just trying to right-click down the planetary. They don't quite end up getting it. Disruptors getting disrupted by the interference matrix as well. And while the Disruptors do manage to find a few good connections over there, you see that ShoWTimE has to back off for a little bit at least.
Oh, a couple of tanks unsieging. Very unfortunate moment right there for Maru, but ShoWTimE won't be able to capitalize. The tanks are still too far back, but that could have been so much damage on ShoWTimE's army.
It really could have. And, siege tanks. Okay, another siege tank going to get taken out. The Disruptor's doing a good job staying alive, despite feeling like they're constantly in the front lines of everything that ShoWTimE has. They are still managing to stay in a relatively healthy number and everything. Okay, as I say that, Caster Curse, the Disruptor dies over there, but ShoWTimE's going to be rotating around. I also want to note that ShoWTimE has taken the gold base.
Yes.
Throwing that out there.
That is a big deal. If you can suck up those resources and shoot them, spit them back out at your opponent, it can be a really, really beneficial thing. We're seeing ShoWTimE committing a lot more to the DTs here. He is trying to go for what he didn't go for in map number 2, which is to, get a lot of damage done with Harass. Oh, the Disruptor! Oh, Maru wasn't paying attention! ShoWTimE gets a massive takedown.
He might end up losing a few DTs over here, especially, I mean, he doesn't even need to scan. There's a Raven over here, but the Stalkers blink on forward. They're going to be sniping off all these ghosts. ShoWTimE finding additional damage here. And yeah, I don't actually, okay, I was going to say I don't think he can break through on this planetary safely, but it looks like he feels confident that he can, especially with the Disruptor. It's going to be zoning out the army on the south side, gets another big connection, kills the planetary, and really all he lost were some Zealots. That was a great trade for ShoWTimE.
This is looking phenomenal for the German Protoss player right here. I am starting to worry about Maru's chances in this game at all. Flanking Zealots coming in from the back. Tanks going down to the Disruptor shots on the front. ShoWTimE looking to punch his ticket to the offline finals. Disruptors are going to cover the flank and will keep that army alive. Now, ShoWTimE does need to retreat on out. He is going to recall these Disruptors, and he will save he'll save a lot of them. But he is going to lose a lot of the Colossi and a couple Disruptors on the tail end. So Maru does get a consolation prize there. And it's a big one.
It definitely is. I honestly, if ShoWTimE didn't have the gold base right now, I would actually feel a little bit more concerned for ShoWTimE after losing all of those very expensive units there. But he also killed off all of so much of Maru's high-tech units. Yes, we do see a lot of ghosts there for Maru, but Maru had to replenish a lot of that. And I want to note something that we don't really get to see Stargazers as often in the late game, so it's really important to note. This map, like, ShoWTimE has taken all the bases you can reasonably take, and oh my god, this engagement is going really, really well for ShoWTimE.
Initially, it looked pretty good for Maru because he kind of found this army, but then the Blink DTs came in and swiped down like three DTs, or sorry, three ghosts almost instantly. ShoWTimE also, massive gateway count in this game. He's on 18 gateways, so it's a similar situation, but much earlier on, where he can just remax so much more quickly. He's going to try and blink forward using the Disruptors to cover the move, and he will take down the base, no problemo.
There you go, man. And ShoWTimE, he's in such a great spot over here. He's taking the bottom right. He's taking one of Maru's bases because he's frankly already taken every other base on the map. I think at this point, I mean, okay, I'm about to say this, even though I don't think this is what Maru's going to do. Like, Maru, I don't know if he has another option outside of just try and force an engagement and try and base trade, but he doesn't even have the actual army supply anymore. He's going to take the disruptor hits to the face, and he is just getting overwhelmed. Our German Protoss player has taken down the legend. Maru goes down to the lower bracket.